Hi everybody, now I'm starting 12.3 video part 2 for your next homework. I'm going to squeeze 3 problems in and then that's going to help you to do 12.3 part 2, which is problem 26, 28, 30, 38, 41, 43, 49, and 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 problems associated with page 31 notes, okay? Now, when you do, I might squeeze a little bit in over here, but I want you to know that problem number 4 that we do in our notes is going to be like our homework problem 26, 28, and 30 to keep some good track of it. When I do number 5 on today's notes, it's going to be like our homework problems on 38, 41, and 43, the ones that are down here. And then this one I do over here will be like number 49 and number 50 from our homework right over here. Okay, so let's get it started. So if I'm writing the cosine of 200 degrees as a function of an acute angle, here's how I do it. So when I find, I know this is going to sound a little weird, but you could push cosine of 200 on your calculator. Whatever you get, you get. It might be a 50-50 chance of getting it right. So you don't want to just push cosine of 200. You want to know that when you push the cosine of 200, what is it going to be like the answer like? Is it going to be a positive answer or is it going to be a negative answer? So what you do is you find the reference angle. And I say, okay, so let's find our theta. Our theta is 200 degrees. So here I go. I really don't care where it ends as long as I know the standard position is right here. So what I'm going to then do is find my alpha. So my alpha is 20. So it's very important that you understand that your reference angle is 20 degrees, okay? So if your reference angle is 20 degrees, believe it or not, your cosine of 200 will equal either the positive or negative version of the cosine of 20 degrees. I haven't put the positive or negative there yet. So again, the cosine of 200 will equal the cosine of 20 in some positive or negative way. So let's decide, is it positive or is it negative? So let's go over here up here and see what happens in quadrant number 3. If I go to the left, I go negative. If I go down, I also go negative. So let's figure out what our cosine is here. Cosine, sine, and tangent. I know my tangent is positive because it's negative over a negative is a positive. Now if you're like, oh, I forget what my cosine is, you can go over here and say quadrant 3, the cosine is a negative. So I know my cosine is negative. My sine is positive. Nope, negative, sorry. So now I say, I need the reference angles measure, the number, like is it 5.2, 8.6? I mean, it's a decimal under 1. But I know that I have to, whatever it is, I have to carry the negative sign with it. So the answer to the function, not the answer, is the negative version of the cosine of 20. That's how you'll answer question 26, 28, and 30 with a reference angle and the correct positive or negative. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use that chart. If you remember the chart where we memorized, and we had a quiz on that chart where we memorized our answers over here, right? So we know our sine our sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent of 30, 45, and 60. And I'm going to find the tangent of 330 just from that. So here's how I do it. I go to 330, which goes like this, and I land right in here. That's my theta is 330. That's also my theta prime. So now I need my reference angle. So you do the bird, or you can do your formula, and I find out that my bird is 30 degrees. That's the reference angle that I'm going to look up in my chart or in my head because I've already memorized it. So and then I'm going to take the positive or the negative version of that. Okay, so let me go to, remember I'm finding the tangent of 330, so I'm going to go to the tangent of its reference angle. So the tangent of 30 is root 3 over 3. And we're doing exact values here. You can't go to your calc. So exact value of the tangent of 30 is root 3 over 3. So I'm going to put that here. And I'm almost done because now I have to make a decision on this root. See, these are all going to be positive because all of these are in the first quadrant that you memorized and took your quiz on, right? But now I have to go to the tangent to the 330 to find out the positive or negative. That's found in quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I find that the tangent is negative. You'll memorize that, of course. So now I know I'm going to pick the negative version of it. So my answer is negative root 3 over 3. That is my answer for the tangent of 330 in exact form. That's how you'll do number 38, 41, and 43. Quadrant 4 is where you found that. That decides the sign. The reference angle decides the value without the sign. And when I mean the sign, I mean S-I-G-N, the sign. So let's do it with cosecant of 225. So I'm going to draw it so I can get a reference angle. So I go negative 225 lands here. So my theta is 225. Miss Golly doesn't care much about her reference angle because, I care about my reference angle, my theta prime, because I'm all about doing not the formula, I'm more about doing the bird. So if you want the formula, you would use this. If you just do the bird like I taught you, you would say that alpha is 45 degrees. So now I have to look up the cosecant. We're finding is the cosecant of negative 225. But I'm going to go to my reference angle for 45 degrees. So here's my cosecant of 45 degrees, and it's root 2. Cosecant 45 degrees is root 2. So I'm going to have to figure out the positive or the negative of root 2. So then I say, okay, is the cosecant is in 1, 2, quadrant 2. So let me go to quadrant 2, 1, 2, and my cosecant is positive. So that's why this is positive root 2 as my answer as an exact value. No decimals in that. So when you do homework problems 38, 41, and 43, it'll be like these two right over here, 5A and 5B. Now, how did we do problems like 49 and 50 in tonight's homework? We're going to have to use our identity, and we're going to find the other 6 trig values. So on the right, and when you take your quiz, I think I write it in this order. I don't know. I'll say, what's the sine of theta? What's the cosine of theta? What is the tangent of theta? These are going to be our answers. What is the cotangent of theta? What is the cosecant of theta? And what is the secant of theta? Right, all over here. We, of course, know our answer to the cosine of theta is -2/5. So you already got one of your answers. Quadrants are very important in this. Quadrants are very important because we're going to find the other five trig functions of the cosine of -2/5. Now, that's two different quadrants where that's a possibility of. But you've got a second hint here. The other hint is it occurs between 180 and 360. So these are the two kind of hints. Where is the cosine negative? So let's take a look where the cosine is negative. But this is so convenient to have it on this side. So the cosine is negative in quadrant 2, and the cosine is negative in quadrant 3. So the answer could occur in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. But now I need to know between 180 and 360, which is, here's 180, right? And here's 360. Bam, like this. What is the cosine right now? The cosine is either here or here, where it's a negative or positive. So I now narrowed it down to, it's either these two, and it has to cross-reference with these two. So that means I must be talking about quadrant 3. So the cosine is negative, and it falls between here, which is quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So that means I narrowed it down. My answer is going to all be occurring in quadrant 3. That's where we cross-referenced it and narrowed it down to. So now I know my answer is in quadrant 3. You can actually literally go to quadrant 3 and take the sine and say it's negative, the cosine is negative, the tangent is positive, the cotangent is going to be positive, the cosecant is going to be negative, and the secant is going to be negative. Now that you found out it's in quadrant 3. So all we need now is the x, the r, and the y. So now we should be using our identities. So how about the fact we have sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta, and we know that it equals 1. If I know the entire cosine, I just say sine squared theta plus -2/5 squared equals 1. So sine squared theta equals plus 4/25 equals 1. I subtract 4/25 from both sides, and I get 21/25. Square root both sides. Don't worry about the positive or the negative. That gets decided by the quadrant. What time is it?
35.
Oh, so sine of theta is equal to the square root of 21/5, which I can put over here. But I know even though I didn't do I got a positive here, it's a negative because of the quadrant. Now, all I have to do for the cosine is flip it. I'm sorry, not the cosine. The secant is flip it. But I'm going to come over here to flip it. If I go to flip it, it will be 25 over root 21. I know I'm a little sloppy. You multiply it by root 21 over root 21, and that will be -25 root 21 over the number 21. But it's a negative. Remember that one. So that is your, I am so sorry, everybody. That one's your cosecant. So can we change that word to cosecant of theta? It's a little out of order. And that's your secant, which I'll get in just a second. So the cosecant is the flip of the sine. By the way, the secant's the flip of the cosine, so I guess I could just write it as -5/2. So they match with each other, and these guys will match with each other, but upside down, like reciprocal. So now it's time to find the tangent. I think I'm going to try to do it down here because I have a little bit more room. So if I find the tangent of theta, the tangent of theta is the sine of theta over the cosine of theta, which is negative root 21 over 5 over negative 2 over 5. So we'll do negative root 21 over 5 divided by negative 2 over 5. Negative 21 over 5 times 5 over negative 2. The 5's cancel. And I get root 21 over negative 2. We knew it was, there's something about the positive. Oh, I think they were both negatives, right? Sorry, everybody. Negative over negative, 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 negative here. So this all is positive. So my tangent is root 21 over 2. My cotangent is going to be the flip of that. We're just going to love doing fancy schmancy 1 here, right? So multiplied by root 21 over root 21, which is 2 root 21 over 21. So why do I have a 2 there? Yes, it is supposed to be a 2. So 2 root 21 over 21 is that answer right over here. So that is, I mean, how you find the 6. There is another way. If you said, I don't want to use an identity, and you did this, I want to show you, you can also do this if you want. You can say, oh, my tangent in this third quadrant, because you determined it was the third quadrant, is negative 2/5. So it just means you went over negative 2, right? And you went down negative 5. So that really just meant your x was negative 2, your y was negative 5, and you still can do x squared plus y squared equals r squared, which is really just the identity, and then find out that your r is negative root 21. And then you could do that. There's a variety. That's what's beautiful about that this is a variety of it. Over here, you just memorize that cosine is equal to, x over r, and sine is y over r, and then tan is y over x. And you could have done it this way if you wanted to. So there definitely was a variety. I'm going to tell you when this one is due. I have to look at the calendar right now. But this is 12.3 part 2, 26, 28, 30, 38, 41, 43, 49, and 50. And you could learn how to do it all on this page. Let's just flip a little bit, make sure we understand some other things that I put here. Like that I put when all students take calculus, and you can learn when you don't know when it's a quadrantal. These are the 4 quadrants for your positives and negatives. I just did it over here again, and I wrote, it's just something you want to read if you don't like my explanation and you need to read a second thing where you depend on the quadrant, where the coordinate plane, on the coordinate plane, which angle it resides in. This is some more stuff with reference angles. If you want to practice with a friend, you could do some reference angle work over here. I'm not assigning it. If you have time in class, do this with a friend and see if you guys have the same. I think actually it has the answers to it right here, so I don't know, that's not the reference angle on this one. For sure, it's not the reference angle. Oh, I think they're just telling you that that's a 20. And then this is going to be some notes that I'm going to be giving you soon to get you started on the unit circle. So that's what is to come when we start learning the unit circle. Okay. You know what your homework is according to this video. Have a good day.